Hey y'all, come with us as we give you a quick rundown of our third anniversary celebration. Our first anniversary, we did a cruise out of LA. And so we did Cabo, we did Puerto Vallarta. The second, in a few days in LA. The second year, we did Martha's Vineyard, which was last year. This year, we weren't really planning anything because we're so focused on our house and putting time and money into our house. But at the last minute, um, of course, Terrence wanted to do something. So my girlfriend said, "Why don't you try Chateau Elan in Atlanta?" So since we've never been here, we said, "You know what? We'll take the trip. Only 3 hours away." And let me tell you, it was a trip we did not know we needed until we got here. The place is absolutely gorgeous. We arrived, and of course, we arrived with the champagne toast for our anniversary, and so we didn't even get to our room. We were taken straight to the spa. So the shuttle picked us up before we even got to our room. The shuttle picked us up and took us just around the corner to the spa. This is the indoor pool of the spa, one of many pools there. And so we chilled, and it was a day of just relaxation. Just we got to the resort maybe about 8. We had a 12 o'clock appointment for a couples massage, but from 8 to 12, here's T. T just, let me tell you something. T had about 3 naps before they even called us back to get a massage, and so to get our massage. And so we just took it all in. And of course, I was so excited. I was trying to rest, but I couldn't really rest. I guess I was getting on my husband's nerves. He's like, "You always got the camera in my face," and I'm like, that's what I do. And so the funny thing, let me tell you, the funny thing is, before we left home, we were about to leave out the door, and I saw my husband's flip flops, still in the room. And I was like, "Wait a minute, you're supposed to take your flip flops. We got to have the flip flops for the spa." And he was like, "No, I don't need them. I don't." I was like, "Yes, you do. Yes, you do." Only to find out when we got there. Of course, we knew they wouldn't give us robes, but we didn't know they was going to give us slippers too. So, lesson learned. But so yeah, he was like, "I was right." But yeah, so I mean, he was knocked out. My husband was knocked out. I guess he thought his phone was going to fall in the pool. But he was just knocked out. And so while he was sleeping, I let my husband rest. I went outside and enjoyed the outdoors. I love country air. One of the reasons why I really wanted to move to the country. All of these little cabanas that you see, the black, the white, they all had people in them. Most of had couples in them. And so yeah, I was just taking it all in. The great thing about this resort, there's a golf course back there. Of course, this is a lake. This whole building right here, so it's 3 different buildings. This whole building right here is the spa, this entire building. But then there's the hotel, and then there's a third building that has one of 7 restaurants. So the upscale restaurant is in the third building, along with all your tasting. So yeah, so this is the building. This is the building. And so yeah, and let me tell y'all something before you start judging. If you are churchianity people, this video might offend you because it's a lot of wine involved. And so before we even got to the wine, of course, the spa, they provide champagne. And, I was taking them up on the champagne. Like, why not? I mean, I'm not a champagne girl, never have been. I'll do a mimosa if they're provided, but, it's not, I'm like, not one of those ones who have to have champagne. And so, but I took the glass of champagne because they gave it to me and it was good. And, but no, my husband was like, "No, give me water with the cucumbers," and that's after he done woke up from like his fourth nap. He was like, "Give me some cucumber water, refresh myself." And yeah, you see him got the phone in hand because he is very, very committed to answering and reading y'all comments and y'all email. And so, especially the more we get a lot of email from men. And so Terrence is very, very much, and me too. We're both very, very much dedicated to our call. So yeah, so he had that phone, and in between naps and drinking cucumber water, He was reading the comments, y'all. And so then they called us back for our couples massage. And so, man, that room was absolutely beautiful. And so we got our couples massage. And let me tell y'all something. After we woke up, T done woke up from about his seventh nap. It was like, okay, let's get ourselves together. It was about maybe 1 o'clock by then. So let's get ourselves together and wake up and just figure out what our next plans were. But I'm gonna tell you, that spa, that eucalyptus steam room, oh my God, it was just, oh, so beautiful. So instead of the shuttle, we decided to walk back to the hotel. So we walked up the hill to the hotel, and it was like the best decision because it got us, of course, to get some fresh air, but it helped us to learn more about the resort. So we walked up to the spa. I mean, I'm sorry, we walked from the spa up to the hotel. And that hill was, it was a hump, but but we were doing it. And so here's Mr. Superman. He keep yeah, he like to, he think he can accomplish anything, which he can. He can conquer anything, which he can. So, but yeah, so before we got our luggage out the car, we said, okay, because we had never checked in. So we was like, okay, let's go check into our room. And so we had our gym bags, and so we went and checked this hotel. Let me tell you, this whole resort is absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. And so love the room number 3330. And so we got to our room, and very spacious, standard king size room, but it was very spacious. And so, with any room we check in, the first thing I do is I go to the window. I want to see the view. I want to see the view. And so I looked out the window and I was so pleased. The pool, scrumptious. And so we took a long nap, y'all, and then we got up about 5 and we headed to dinner. We headed to dinner at the pub. The pub, we were so hungry because we hadn't eaten since like 7 o'clock that morning. And so it was about 5:30. And so we went to the pub, which was in the third building where the wine tasting was. And we had some greasy food, and it was time for our first glass of wine. Again, let me just warn you all, if you are judgmental and why they supposed to be Christians and drinking wine, this video is not for you. We absolutely love red wine. We love the history of wine. We love studying wine. We love the countries of where wine is made. We love muscadine grapes and studying that. We love the taste of wine. We love the health benefits. And so yeah, this is a winery. So this is, we don't drink to get drunk. We know our limits. And so we had our first glass of wine at dinner. And of course, tea had to also have dessert. And so it gave me a stomach ache looking at it. But yeah, we had our first glass of wine, and it was the resort's wine. So it was Chateau Elan's wine. And so yeah, it was very, very good. And so yeah, and so we um we met another couple there, and this other couple, they were just getting there. They had just sat down, and they said that they had did their wine tasting. Our wine tasting was scheduled the next day, but they said they just had did their wine tasting, and it was like they felt a little woozy. They said they had to come and get something to eat. And so then they said they were going to do sip and paint. And so they were like, yeah, so we didn't want to book up our trip to have so many appointments. We had our spa appointment. We had a dinner reservation for the next night at the Mark restaurant, which is the upscale restaurant. And then we had a wine tasting. We had the spa, the wine tasting for the next day. So we didn't want to do too many like bookings, and so we wanted to be chill. So after dinner, we went to the third building, which is the wine tasting building, and which is also where the upscale restaurant is. And we just wanted to just chill out and um just take it all in. Like, we just really wanted to just feel the atmosphere, which was so amazing. The sun was going down, people were out, most people had glasses of wine in their hand. It was just so many different cultures. So many, everybody was just it was just such an atmosphere of joy and happiness. And you see, even the kids are out. It was just like so many, as I said, so many different cultures, different age groups, different generations. And it was, when I say, it was a beautiful, beautiful atmosphere. And so we went in the building. We was going to spend most of our time in that building the next day, but we just went in. Just we wanted to just just take a view and see what was going on. And so this is over to the right is the major tasting room, the big tasting room. I think tastings are like $40, and it's like you get 50 different. I mean, sorry, 50. You get like 5 different wine tastings or whatever. So we came out of the building and just we found a seat and we just chilled. We just sat down. We was like, no, we're not going back in. We're up. We done had about 17 naps. And so it was like, we just wanted to take it in. Of course, we didn't have any more wine. We was like, let's space it, because you can very much drink a lot of wine being here. The great thing about their wine, let me tell you the great thing about their wine, is because their wine does not get you drunk. Well, at least didn't for us. At dinner, we had 2 glasses of wine. Usually, when we drink wine, like I know, like by the first glass, like by when I'm about to finish, I can feel myself getting a little. If I feel myself getting a little like lightheaded, I know to stop. We both, Terrence and I, know our limits. But we had 2 glasses of wine at dinner, and it was a very great taste, but it didn't really, it didn't even do anything to us. So we loved that. It didn't give us like a buzz or anything. So we loved that. And so we just sat down, we sat outside, which if I get a buzz or anything like that, I know to stop drinking wine and I know to go to bed. But we just sat out and it was so good. Terrence was answering comments, and it was so good to see this group behind us of young people. And it was so cute. They were so cute because it looked like they were just all friends. It looked like somebody might have had a crush on somebody, but they were not coupled up. And so it was just so good to just see people out and enjoying themselves. Terrence was answering comments and email. I was, we were discussing with you all, questions you all had. And so we were just discussing like our next videos and just really taking it all in. And just really I was just making some notes, in the phone, some things y'all want us to answer. And so that's what we did. I mean, our assignment doesn't stop. And so it was a great place to rest, but also to really take in our assignment and what God has for us and what He wants us to do. And so that's what we were doing. We took the opportunity to just rest, relax, and just take it all in. And so we walked back to the hotel, and walking through the vineyard, we took some pictures, and just we took a slow walk. We just like really took a slow walk. The weather was amazing. As God will have it, of course, He always gives us reminders. We saw this car that said "just married," and so yep. So it's an influx of marriages coming, and yeah. So we went back to our room, but then we decided like about 9, because we wanted to stay up for War Cry. And so it was Friday night, and we knew if we went to sleep, we was gonna be out. So we went back downstairs to the restaurant that's in the hotel called Louis. And we got a charcuterie board and we got another glass of wine. And of course my hubby was yarning. But we were like, nope, we're not gonna go up to the room and go to sleep. We're going to chill here. They had some nice jazz playing. When I tell you the jazz was jazzing, it was just such a nice atmosphere. It was calm. They had a pool table. It was, couples were playing pool, and people were in and out. And we were just sitting, just taking it all in, and just really just enjoying the moment, just enjoying the quietness, having great conversation, and just taking it all in, because that's what we overlook it. So we came back up to the room. We looked outside. People were still in the pool. We were getting ready for War Cry for prayer, so we prayed before we got on War Cry. And then yeah. So that was our Friday evening. Saturday morning, we got up for breakfast. We went downstairs to the Versailles restaurant, which is in the atrium of the hotel. And when I tell you, it was such an awesome breakfast. Full breakfast bar. Of course, all you can eat breakfast bar with omelet station, waffle station. And so for just $40, $40 per person. Like you can't beat that. And so yeah, it was good. But then um as we're, looking for our, getting fixing our place, my husband discovered something that was kind of the highlight of our trip. One of the many highlights of our trip. Terrence found the honeycomb, and so they imported organic honey. And if you know me and my husband, we are honey lovers. We love honey in a good tea. And so that was like one of the highlights. And so we had breakfast. We went upstairs to our room. We changed into our bathing suits, and we came back downstairs to the pool. And let me tell y'all something. You talking about some good sleep? We slept, we rested. We got down to that pool about 10, and our tasting wasn't until 3. We spent most of that time before we had to go upstairs to get dressed. We went upstairs to get dressed about 1:30. We spent that time at the pool, having great conversations. Terrence and I both are swimmers, and so we spent some time at the pool. It was so great seeing there were so many different like bridal, maybe bachelorette parties and bridal showers that were there. And so we were taking it all in. And so, yep. And so, of course, we had to get our sun in, and we got sun kissed and took all the sun in. And so, and let me just tell y'all something. The reason why we're doing a voiceover, we were doing a voiceover for this video is because all through the resort is music. And so we cannot, so we couldn't like record and speak because the music was in the background. Of course, it will be a copyright infringement. And so they have music everywhere you go out throughout the resort was music. And so we were just listening to some TLC and Escape. They were playing it at the pool, but we were still resting through the music. And we were just resting and got our sleep in. And I mean, we had some good sleep on at that pool. And so we woke up and we was like, where are we? And so we needed the rest and knocked out. When I say knocked out, I mean we just needed just the sun. We needed the breeze that was coming through, perfect 85 degree weather. And yeah, my poor hair though, my hair had dried out, and I was like, okay, I have to go and put some conditioner in my hair. Y'all know this natural hair. Yeah, but we were loving every minute of it. We were taking it all in, and yeah, so we went upstairs, got dressed for our wine tasting, and headed back over to the tasting room. And y'all, let me tell y'all something. I mean, it was like every time we are walking outside, it's just such a wonderful atmosphere. It is such a wonderful atmosphere. So many people out taking prom pictures. And so we got to our tasting. It was another couple there. We booked the highest tier of wine tasting where we had our own sommelier, and it was another couple. So it was two couples. They were married 4 years ago. So they were celebrating their 4th anniversary, and ours our 3rd. And so our sommelier was just giving us just so many different lessons on wine. Of course, we're red wine drinkers. I mean, and it was just such a great appointment and learning. And so we went out on the balcony, and y'all, let me tell y'all something. We got our biggest lesson ever at this resort, the biggest takeaway. And so the sommelier was telling us the history of the resort. And so first of all, the resort was founded, Chateau Elan was founded by the guy who created the nicotine patch. And so he was telling us that a couple of years ago, the resort had gone through kind of like a failure. They had tried, because they're the largest winery on the East Coast, they wanted to be more upscale. And so the East Coast is known for muscadine grapes, which produces sweet wine, which we don't really care for. And they didn't want to really have sweet wine. So they hired this expert from Italy, and the expert came in, and so they're thinking that this expert going to come and produce these high end grapes. And so the expert came in and tore up the land, and it replanted muscadine. And so they were upset. And it's like, why are you doing this? Like, we wanted more upscale grapes. And the expert said, you have to plant what works. You're just planting it wrong. Plant what works. And so that message, we just sat out on that balcony and took that message in. You got to just do where you're planted, do what's best for where you're planted. And so that was our lesson. That was our takeaway. It was enough to say, okay, let's go get us two of the bottles of wine that we absolutely loved at our tasting. But that message just resonated with us throughout the entire trip. Where you're planted, just serve in that purpose. The purpose was for muscadine grapes, serving that purpose. And so that's what we did. So we went back to the room to get ready for dinner. And so we got ready for dinner, and we went back over to the Mark um, restaurant, which is their upscale restaurant, and it was so good. We had fried green tomatoes, and which was, I mean, so good. And then I had the fried chicken with the collard greens, and we both shared macaroni and cheese. Terrence had a steak, and yeah, and that was pretty much our trip. And so the next morning we got up, and we just like, I mean, it was the trip that we did not know we needed. As I said, we weren't planning to take a trip. Our focus has been on our house. But when I tell you, we done been to some beautiful places, but this trip was the shortest. And of course, I had to get my coffee. It was the shortest trip, but it was the lessons, the relaxation, the rest, everything that we needed was there. The message, it just I mean, it just everything that we needed in these couple of days to bring in our third wedding anniversary and to celebrate 3 years. We like it was just we got everything that we needed. And so yeah, here's to our third year of marriage. And thank y'all for sharing in the highlights of our trip.